So you wouldn't play Jimi Hendrix on the Jimmy Young show?
No, no, I wouldn't have, no. It would have been too strident. And if you've ever been in a fish finger factory and you've been working there and seen shoals of fish fingers hurtling down chutes and all the girls listening and bopping to radio, believe me, you wouldn't play Jimi Hendrix because it would be too much.
I'm standing at a fish, well, it's a fish gutting something or other, I suppose, is it?
A fish filter.
A fish?
Filter.
Filter, I see. And you're Vicky Gray, aren't you?
Yes.
And how long have you been doing this job then, Vicky?
Oh, quite a while.
One of the things that Doreen said was, why don't we do a recipe? Now, I have to say, I know absolutely nothing at all about cooking. But Doreen was a great cook and a great enthusiast.
So I thought, would it be a good idea to have a recipe of the day? And would Jimmy Young then say to his audience, would you care to send me in one of your favourite standby recipes?
We had a producer, assistant to her, whose name was Ray Harvey. So my contribution was, I took Ray and made him into Raymondo. We had a speeded up chipmunk voice, which Ray did, and Raymondo every day used to say,
"What's the recipe today, Jim?"
Ah, thought you never asked. Apricot mincemeat pie, isn't it?
And I'd been on the air about a week, and I went out of the front of the broadcasting house one day. There was a line of traffic down Portland Place, and bus drivers and taxi drivers were pulling back their windows, and they were saying,
"What's the recipe today, Jim?"
I thought, well, now, there is something going on here, which I didn't fully understand.
Who's there?
What was going on was that the daytime strip shows had begun to attract massive audiences. And for a DJ to cuddle up to the ubiquitous housewife could mean the guarantee of long-term employment.
Oh, I see. It wasn't sort of love at first sight then. What was it that suddenly made you realise that this was your Mr. Right?
I don't know, really. He went out for a drink one night and came back and just asked me out.
Did he?
Yeah.
Housewives were treated at that time, and still are by some people, you know, as though, because everybody was married then, and of course, you know, you could go down the aisle, a perfectly reasonable, intelligent creature, and come back a complete zombie, you know. And so the programmes that were aimed at housewives treated them all as though they were a sort of subnormal minority group.
Time for talkback.
It was a compromise that could never please everybody.
I don't like pop groups, I don't like flower people, but I have to listen to them. Why? Why can't you run two separate channels? I get up in the morning at 5:30 and I'm told all I need is love. I don't need anything like that because I've got to go to work anyway.
We've got an audience of under 25s here. I mean, do they approve of Radio 1 and 2? Let's just see what they think about it. Do you think the Pirates were better? If you do, press your buttons. 85%.
We're going to put the Radio 1 kissing tone on now. And you know the idea of this. You can kiss absolutely anybody you like, OK? So you ready? OK, stand by for it. Off we go then. Here it comes.
With such varied output, it wasn't long before riffs began to show. The most significant being the divide between night and day.
Hey, stop.
If you listen to Radio 1 for an entire week, or a year even, you won't hear anything at all that relates to anything that's going on. You know, it's just all, it's incredibly predictable sort of porridge, really. Just meaningless stuff.
I used to believe that Tony Blackburn was like the Antichrist, really, and that we were destined to be mortal enemies all of our lives. And very much, I mean, almost everything that he said I disapproved of as a matter of principle.
You have a picture of Tony Blackburn up there.
Yes, well, that's there basically as a cautionary tale, I think, because it seems to me, with the best will in the world, that Tony has become a victim of this star-building DJ thing. And I think it's very sad.
He's a lovely guy, John Peel. He's been there for a long, long time, and he is a different type of broadcaster to me. I am there as a light-hearted fool.
Within the network, there was a tug, even in the pop music bits, between different styles. Should it be saucy salesman? Should it be knowledgeable person? Should it be wild, raving enthusiast like Emperor Roscoe? So with Radio 1, you never quite knew where you were in the early days. But because there was nothing else, there was nowhere else you would hear loads of Beatles music because all the pirates had gone. That was what you listened to.
Here it comes. Let's have that tune again.
Trackingtons.
Okay.
Demand as much attention as a rock star. They turned self-promotion into a new art form.
I never really knew what a disc jockey was until I came back and saw Tony Blackburn in the street, pursued by about 100 giggling girls, and I thought, what's that? And someone said, that is a disc jockey.
And I remember opening up a shop in Norwich, for instance, at one stage, and the whole shop was destroyed. And when I went there, and there were so many people there, I went into the shop, and I was meant to stay there for, I think, an hour and sign autographs. And they said, please, just go through. And I went through there, I was bundled in the car and just went off.
What sort of girls do you like?
So what was like you, sort of long blonde hair.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, petite, like you.
Girls, thin girls.
Fairly, it doesn't really bother me actually, but it's moderately thin, like you. In actual fact, you're my perfect example.
Where we go?
That's the way I chat up girls, see?
Just
yeah, well, you started talking to me, and that's the way it happened, yeah.
Oh, I see.
I look back on those times, and it is like a dream world.
But for all their newfound fame and growing fortunes, the BBC made it clear that no one was irreplaceable.
It's all a con, you know.
There is a way of managing people, if you like, which makes them feel that they are liked, but they're not so liked that they're an inevitable part of the brickwork.
And now, Kenny Everett, the man the BBC tried to gag.
The first test came in 1971, when Kenny Everett, the station's most irrepressible talent, was sacked for attacking the corporation's cosy blandness once too often.
About Radio 1. Oh. Isn't it strange that I'm being filmed by one end of the BBC about being sacked by the other?
Next to leave, though persuaded rather than pushed, was Terry Wogan and Jimmy Young to strengthen Radio 2.
Oh, Dave, steady.
And in the summer of 1973, as Radio 1's first major rival, Capital Radio, was about to go on air, newcomer Noel Edmonds was handed the prize breakfast show, unceremoniously ousting Tony Blackburn, who was to become the replacement Housewife's Choice.
The reason why they moved me on to, I think it was 9 o'clock in the morning, was the fact that I was getting married. That was the one reason for it.
Just move on.
Noel Edmonds brought with him a suitcase full of pranks and party games to liven up the morning slot. There was no love lost between them.
I wasn't particularly helpful to him when he started Radio 1 because I knew he was taking over my breakfast show, which I considered to be mine, and I wanted it to remain that way for some time. So we weren't the greatest of friends.
Doing anything exciting over the weekend?
Well, I'm going down to Shirley in Southampton, in actual fact. You doing anything?
No, nothing at all. No, I'm going to stay in the studio and wait for Monday to come round.
Terribly boring for you.
It hurt even more that Noel Edmonds was an instant hit.
Mrs. Scott has written to me from High Street, Riddings in Derbyshire, and says, I saw a picture of you recently with half your beard missing. Have you really shaved it off? No, Pauline. Have a listen. That's me beard. It's still there.
And I remember on one occasion pretending I'd gone for a tea round and walking in while Terry was doing something at 8 o'clock. And you know, it was OK to walk in through the red light if you were a jock. And I went in there and I got this tray of polystyrene cups and looked at him, and he turned around while he was talking. And he carried on talking, but just before he could turn back to the microphone, I did a false trip and shot the lot straight over all the gear in his lap. And he didn't realise the cups were all empty. He couldn't talk for 15 minutes. He just played music back to back. And we used to do silly things like that too, to relieve the boredom.
Love it, love it, love it.
I remember I couldn't get my oldest son, who is 37 now, I could not get him out of bed because he would be listening to Noel Edmonds and roaring with laughter. And I would be standing outside the door saying, Ambrose, get up, it's only a disc jockey. And he said, oh, Mum, it's Noel Edmonds. Now, of course, everybody thinks of Noel Edmonds as millionaire helicopter, inventor of Mr. Blobby, and the essence of all that is uncool. But in his day, boy, was he